Before we begin our geometry drawing, we first need to make sure we have the appropriate tools. In front of you, we have the basic tools that are needed for geometry. There is, of course, the compasses. You will need a pencil, and you'll need a straight edge, and of course you'll need paper. Now to begin with, let's look at the pencil that is required. You'll notice here that I have two different pencils. This one is a 2H pencil. It doesn't make a very dark mark. The other one is a 2B pencil, which makes a much darker mark. If you have access to it at home, you should try and use the lighter pencil, a 2H, 3H, or whatever. This is because it will allow you to make finer, more precise lines. However, if you don't have that, then a normal 2B pencil is fine. Just make sure that you keep it very sharp throughout your geometry drawing. The next tool that you will need is a ruler or a straight edge. In geometry, we don't care whether it's centimeters or inches or anything at all. We don't care about the numbers. We just care that we have a tool that enables us to draw a straight line. This is because geometry is about proportion and relationship. It is not about measurement. The compass is the essential tool of the geometer. It has some important parts that we need to become familiar with. First of all, you will see that it has the pointy end and the pencil end. The pointy end is where the center of the circle is, and whenever you draw a circle, you must pay very close attention to where you put the point of your compass. If you do not place it precisely, then your entire drawing will be wrong. Your instructor will tell you more about this in the geometry sessions. The pencil end needs to be sharpened, and you'll notice here that mine's in a chisel shape with the long side on the inside. This can be easily sharpened by using sandpaper, or if you don't have that at home, you could also use a nail file. And to sharpen it, I place the compass so with the pencil flat. I place the compass with the pencil side flat as possible on the sandpaper, and I just gently slide it from side to side. And this gives the chisel point. For paper, you will find it useful to use 2 or 3 sheets stacked. So when you place the point of your compass, it doesn't go all the way through and slide around on your table. We will generally be drawing at least A4 size and A3 if you happen to have that paper at home. For the purposes of this demonstration, I will be switching my pencil end of the compass out with a pen attachment, and this is purely so that my drawing will show up on camera. With this pen attachment, we are now ready to begin drawing circles. Now, when I begin to draw a circle, I have to pay very close attention to where I place the center point of my circle. My compass is adjusted by twisting this gear right here to reduce and expand the size of the circle. There are many different kinds of compasses out there, and some of them might be able to just open by pulling and pushing it open and closed. Other ones will have this gear attachment. The main thing that you need to be sure of is that when you set the compass opening, that it remains at that same size while you're drawing. One of the most common ways to make a mistake in geometry when you're using a compass is to accidentally change the opening of the compass. You might do that by bumping the gear, or if you have a hinge compass, you might accidentally open it or close it a little bit. So please keep keep very close eye to make sure that unless the teacher tells you to, you keep the radius of the compass at exactly the first measurement that you're given. Before you begin doing geometry, it's useful to do some practice circles. This helps you become familiar with your compass. You can use the compass to see how large of a circle you can draw. Find out what the maximum size is that's possible, and also find what the minimum size is. You draw your circle by using two hands. So I usually will use, because I'm right-handed, use my left hand to guide the point of the compass exactly where it should be. And then with my right hand, I just gently twist the top of the compass and I sort of pull the circle behind me as I draw. So I'm not pushing the compass down into the paper very much. I'm not trying to make the lines particularly dark. I'm just letting the pencil glide softly over the top of the page. So if you do a little bit of practice with different size circles, you should become more comfortable with your compasses as a tool. Before you have your first class, fill a few pages with circles and become comfortable with your compass. One of the designs that is most commonly drawn when someone starts playing with compasses is this beautiful 6-petaled flower. I'll show you how to draw this step by step, but it's one of the basic characteristics of the circle is that it divides its own circumference into exactly 6 equal sections by using its own radius. So before you begin your very first geometry class, you should make sure that you can draw this. And you should have 6 petals that come to very nice, tight points at each tip. Let's draw that together. I'm going to begin this first drawing by using a straight horizontal line. So I'm lining up my ruler and holding it in place very carefully so it doesn't slide. And using that to put in a horizontal line. In your own drawing, you should be doing this as lightly and finely as possible. Next, we want to open our compass to approximately 5.5 centimeters, give or take. This measurement is only so that we can fit our drawing on the paper. It has no other purpose. So if you want to draw this bigger, you can. I am placing my point of the compass in the middle of the line, right on top of the line. Be very, very careful to get it in place. And I draw my first circle. In drawing the first circle, we have 2 intersections that appear. As we proceed with learning how to draw geometric patterns, we need to pay very close attention to intersections. We can only place the point of our compass and connect points to places that have intersections. So in this drawing, I have exactly 2 choices of where I can add another circle. And keeping the same radius, I'll place it at one of those intersections. I'm going to add my second circle. This now starts creating more choices of additional intersections that could be used to produce patterns. In each of the tutorials that will be taking place, your teachers will tell you more about the symbolism and use of the different shapes that are being drawn here. So I'll go back to my original circle and we'll use the other intersection on the horizontal line. And we will draw a third circle. You'll notice that it is perfectly tangent to the second circle. They should not overlap, they should just touch. If they do not just touch, you need to be more careful with your accuracy. Check to make sure that your radius has not changed. And if you're being very, very careful about where you put the center of your circle. Now we have these two almond or vesica shapes that are next to each other, and they have 1, 2, 3, 4 additional intersections. And we will add 4 circles centered at these intersections. So go up here. So before you take your first class, please make sure that you are able to draw this diagram with 6 perfect petals, no overlaps, no gaps. In order to make this drawing more geometrically useful for some of the classes that we will be doing, you can use the intersections on the drawings to help you add additional lines of symmetry. The big rule with geometry is that you can only add lines and circles where intersections already exist. So we see our horizontal line goes from tip to tip of those 2 petals. So I will add an additional line here and here going through the center of my first circle. This makes the drawing symmetrical. Now, when we look at it, you can see that there are a number of ways that the number 6 appears in this drawing. We have 6 petals inside our central circle. We also have 6 larger petals here. We could connect these 6 points to make a large hexagon, or we can connect the points inside our first circle. So that's what we will do to finish this drawing. We'll connect the tips of those little petals. And one thing to notice as you are connecting these points is that you can actually line up your ruler from here to here to here to here. And that will help keep your drawing accurate, even though you're only adding the line there. So we'll complete the hexagon inside that first circle. This drawing, along with the next one that we will do, is a good foundation for a vast number of patterns in many different traditions around the world. The second diagram you should be able to draw before your first class is a square. We will use the same kind of geometric techniques to help us draw this shape. We'll begin with a horizontal line. with a circle in the center. And as before, we will use the intersections on the left and the right to add 2 additional circles. Now to draw our square, we need to be able to divide our initial circle into 4. We need to, therefore, be able to construct a line that is perpendicular to our horizontal line that we began with. We will do this by adding some arcs above and below that help us construct this perpendicular line. So without changing our compass opening, we'll use that intersection here to draw an arc and here so that we have a nice X at the top, and we'll repeat that at the bottom of the drawing. So being very careful to use those intersections. Like that. Now that we have both of those, we can line up our ruler very carefully. And what should be happening is that we should be able to draw a line that goes through those 2 X's and through the center of our first circle. Like this. So now my first circle is divided into 4 by a horizontal and a vertical line. We have circles centered to the left and right, and now we will add them above and below. So keeping the same radius as before, the circle above and below. This gives us a 4-petaled flower. There are a few different ways that we could use this drawing to help us pull out a square, but what we will do in this case is we will connect the tips of the 4 petals. I'm changing to a different color so you can see it on my drawing, but on your drawing you should be trying to keep this as light and precise as possible using the lightest pencil you have. Before your first free online class with the Prince's Foundation School of Traditional Arts, please prepare by practicing to draw this square and the 6-petaled flower. If you are able to draw both of these accurately, you will be well prepared for those classes. Thank you.